New Orleans Saints. And I think it's going to be because it's going to come to me when I parse the two schedules. I think it's going to come down to the tiebreaker. And New Orleans is 2-0 head to head. And I think they're going to have the better division record. When I look at Tampa Bay, the way I see it with Tampa Bay is I think they're going to split their two with the Falcons. I think they're going to lose to the Vikings. They're going to lose to the Chiefs. And they're going to beat the Rams and beat the Lions. So that's going to stick them at 4-3 as well, which I think puts them at 10-6. So it won't even come down to the tiebreaker, actually. It won't even come down to the tiebreaker, excuse me. So, yeah, I think they'll go to 10-6. So the reason I think they're going to struggle with the Minnesota Vikings, let's get that. So prior to Vita Vea's injury, this was the best run defense in football by a wide margin. They're still the best run defense, but let's look at the stats right now. So prior to Vita Vea's injury, this run defense for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers was giving up 28.4 runs a game for 58.4 yards a game and just 2.06 yards a carry. So nobody could run the ball on this team, right? Whether it's Dalvin Cook or anybody. Now they're giving up 95 yards a game with 25.25 attempts. So the attempts is basically the same, but they're giving up almost 35, 36 more rush yards at 3.8 yards a carry. Still a really good run defense, but a really good running offense that's committed to running the ball with Dalvin Cook. I think they can run the ball on them. And I think given that their offense to me is so week to week, I think their clear identity on offense is to actually run the ball with Ronald Jones and play action and use their weapons like that and build their offense off their running game. But to me, Bruce Arians is kind of a look at me type play caller. So I think there's going to be weeks like versus the Saints where they're just going to come in and they're going to want to show off throwing it deep with all these weapons, and they're going to totally neglect the run and get away from their identity, which means I think they're going to lose football games because of that.
So I actually am on the different I think they're going to finish 12-4. I think they're going to finish very strong. So the next two games, they play Rams and the Chiefs. Then they have their bye, which I think is big. Getting healthy for the final stretch is huge for them. So I think they're going to win either against the Rams or Chiefs one of those weeks. And I think they're going to win out against Vikings, Falcons, Lions, and then Falcons. So one of the reasons is this team's still gelling together. They just got Antonio Brown. They didn't have an offseason with a new quarterback, which is huge. Their defense is still really good. You still mentioned that they were giving up 90-something yards a game. That's still one of the best in the league. Yeah, their run defense it's definitely worse. Don't get me wrong. Vita Vea is a tank at nose tackle, but their run defense is still good. Those two linebackers, Devin White and Levante David, criminally underrated. They can both fly. They're both really good. And I still think their offense has enough to overcome some of the maybe inabilities of Bruce Arians not switching his play calling up to help Tom and run the ball more with Ronald Jones. And they have Fournette too, who's also a good running back. But mainly my issue is with them winning is they can't have a tied record as the Saints, which I think it very well could come down to that. Saints have the tiebreaker. Of course, they beat them week 1, and then a few weeks ago they stopped them. But I really think I don't know. I trust Tom. I trust their defense to play well, and those weapons are something serious. This might be the best receiving core, just looking at accolades and skill that we've maybe ever seen.
Okay, so to be fair, right, I'm definitely projecting very conservatively with both the Saints and the Bucs. They're both good enough where they could both finish 12-4, 13-3, and be right there, right? And that's probably what's going to happen. I'm just looking at the schedule and projecting very conservatively. So that is fair. Really fair. But for me, with the Bucs, I don't even have a problem with Tom and stuff. I just think they feel a little, to not go to take a basketball analogy, a little bit like the Clippers this year, where you're constantly just adding new pieces, right? You're gelling with all of this. Chris Godwin's been in and out of the lineup. Tom's found something with Scotty Miller, and then you throw Antonio Brown into the mix. It's like the Clippers, your team is gelling, and then all of a sudden you sign Reggie Jackson and you trade for Marcus Morris and all that. So you're just constantly shuffling your lineup around. The NFL is is the ultimate team sport, right? You have to be a team to win. It's not about the number of individuals you have. It's really about your team. I'm just not sure if they'll have enough time to gel. And I think we're going to see one or two more clunkers like we saw versus the Saints. I just think they're going to be inconsistent, and it's not going to be because Tom is not good, because I think Tom is still playing really well. And it's not going to be because Bruce Arians is a bad coach or anything, even though I do think he has a little bit of that show me kind of pretentious arrogance. It's going to be just because they need more reps together, and that's going to cause a little bit of, well, we weren't on the same page in this game, or we just weren't, because they're going to need that time and reps and all of that. So I just think they're going to have a couple more clunkers because of that.
Sure. And we still don't know. So the Falcons and the Panthers, they're not going to win unless catastrophic events occur.
Right.
So we can rule them out. And with the Saints, we still have no idea how Jameis will play. Are we going to see the 30-30 Jameis that airs it out? I don't think we will, because I think Sean Payton, they have a different offense, and
he's not going to be throwing the ball down the field much.
They could argue they have better weapons too, in a sense. Their line's definitely better. So that's still an unknown quantity to me, and for that reason, I like the Bucs. But I could see it going either way. You never know in the NFL, especially both teams with different quarterbacks than last year for probably the rest of the season. So it'll be interesting to see.
Absolutely, absolutely. So now that we're talking, what I will say, one more thing regarding Atlanta. I think Atlanta is going to be playing spoiler, because I think once they fired Dan Quinn, they're playing really well under Raheem Morris. They're playing a lot better in terms of just how they play defense, and they're getting healthier. So I just think that Atlanta is going to be a team that's going to be, because they both have to play Atlanta twice. I'm not sure either of them sweep Atlanta, just because when you have Matt Ryan and you're playing better football, I just think Atlanta would be a tough team for either of them to sweep.
And they played the Saints twice and the Buccaneers once. So, divisional matchups are always really close. So that's something definitely to look out for.
Right. Don't the Bucs play? The Bucs only play. No, they play Atlanta twice. They both play Atlanta twice.
Yeah, they both play Atlanta twice. That's correct.
Yeah, so I think both of them will split.